Could this captain still be alive? Is it someone we know? We've met already, or do you think it'll be like a new reveal?
I hope that whoever is revealed to be the supervisor, it's not a familiar face. I don't want it to be like Hondo Onaka.
You and Evan were kind of talking before the show about the idea that the supervisor and this captain are the same person.
Yeah.
Like the captain was able to like get to At Acchran, hide it from everybody else, and has like taken over the planet and kept it whole. Welcome back to the break room. Who else is ready to start doing some Hana level backflips in 2025? I know I am. We're talking Skeleton Crew, episode 4. Can't say I remember no At Acchran. Hit that graphic.
Limb from limb, 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 limb from limb. That's how I eat my Sour Patch Kids.
Just rip them apart.
You leave the head behind, like,
I leave it to send a message to the others.
When is Disney gonna have the guts to rip some kids apart on a Star Wars show, huh?
That's crazy. Stranger Things won't even do that.
I know, right?
Stranger Things won't even do that.
Just start with Will.
They can afford a
ripping his
few.
arms off.
I'm Brandon Barrick, and joining me today, he would never give his daily rations to a couple of mangy kids. It's Erik Voss.
Yeah, they're not even gonna finish it. I'll lick that bowl clean.
I'll eat the plate.
Also joining us today when it comes to working with us, she has instituted her babysitting protocol. It's Jessica Clemons.
I didn't leave them in the bathtub that long.
Is that a penguin reference?
Something like that.
We got lots to talk about with this show, like who was or is SM-33's captain, and how did these jewels of the old Republic planets fall to ruin and move over, Runa? Neel's got a new crush, and she's French. We'll get into all that and more. It's the break room, and we're almost at 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Evan and John have made a bunch of crazy promises. Will they deliver? Only if we hit 100K before the end of the year. Then we'll see them do some crazy stuff. If you're watching right now on YouTube and you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. We would love to get to 100K as soon as we can. And of course, we want to remind you to check out nerdriot.shop, where we have some new Neel merch. Show him that merch, baby. Look at him. He just wants to go home.
I just want to go home.
Yeah.
People that don't watch the show will just think this is like some sort of meme for Star Wars, and it is perfect.
It's
Yeah,
memes.
and the way he has a hyperspace jump behind him and he turns away from it on his shirt to be like, I don't care. I want off this ride.
I'm going to wear that shirt every single day.
It's adorable, and you too can get this shirt. And right now at nerdriot.shop, there's a deal. If you buy one, you get one 50% off. If you buy 2 items, you get one free. It's a crazy holiday deal. Move over, Santa.
look at all the
We don't need you anymore. We got nerdriot.shop.
I was throwing myself across the room during this episode, screaming for Neel, and now I'm like, ooh.
The little scooch over closer to Hana was just adorable.
I was screaming in my room. My poor roommate was probably like, what is she doing? I was like, no, Neel. I was like, eat the food. Don't give it to the kids. I was like, Neel, you need to eat.
Neel's got to
need your strength, Neel.
You need your strength, Neel. They're fine. They've lived in this.
Well, before we get into our questions from this episode, Jessica, why don't you give us a quick little recap of what we saw in episode 4?
I'll try. Okay. Ooh, someone farted. The kids, Erik. The kids. Stop. Okay. So the kids have landed on At Acchran, another one of the Old Republic jewels, and it looks a lot like their home, except it's super rundown and ghetto. They make an uneasy alliance with the Troiks, or the Troik, sorry, I always pluralize it. The Troik, one of seemingly several warring tribes on the planet. If they can prove their bravery, they'll be taken to the Fallen Sanctum, where they might find coordinates home. Neel doesn't want to fight, though, because he's too kind, and Hana, the daughter of the Troik leader, seems to be inspired by that. Who wouldn't be? Who wouldn't be?
He's a sweetie.
He's a sweetheart. Also, this is a great way to teach children not to, like, fight. Well, in this world, you kind of have to. Okay, so Fern nervously leads the Troik into battle, but before any shots go off, Jod returns, trading back the Troik's Eopsies. Eopes. These little deer meet horse meet cow kind of creatures.
Like big deer. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
big
they're cow-esque, but
Yeah,
they kind of have that deer
They're
shape.
bovine,
Yeah.
mostly.
It's kind of like if an anteater and a camel had a baby.
That's completely different than the animals we gave out.
Okay.
But but it's true.
It's
but
true.
It's
They
true.
got that long snout.
They look like that, but they're treated like cows, like
Yeah,
a farm
yeah.
animal.
Do you think Neel was like, is that my cousin?
I was thinking about that.
No, Neel would never associate himself with that. He'd be like, what is this thing?
He's like, ew.
Who is this animal walking on all fours?
Walking on all
The
fours.
Neels stand tall on their two legs.
How would he fit some red overalls over that?
So he trades it in exchange for the kids. And of course, he got those cattle by stealing Wim's credits, because what kind of thief would he be? At the Fallen Sanctum, the kids discover the names of the coordinates of 4 other planets, and that SM-33 has been there before, with his old captain scratching off the coordinates of At Acchran. After a little cry, because we all need a little cry, Fern thinks she has a solution overriding SM-33's memory. He reveals that his captain ordered him to kill anyone. Whoa! Sorry. Did you see it?
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Teleprompter. Not to make me look crazy. The teleprompter went crazy. Okay, sorry. After.
Wow!
Okay, so after a little cry, because everybody needs a little cry, Fern thinks she has a solution overriding SM-33's memory, and he reveals that his captain ordered him to kill anyone looking for At Acchran, and he turns on the kids. With an assist from Neel, Jod narrowly turns off SM-33 before he tears Neel apart, limb from limb.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
I
love
loved it. It's good.
Before we get into the questions, any favorite moments anyone wanted to highlight from this episode? Anything that really stood out to you that you really enjoyed?
I mean, everything with Neel is wonderful. I love the giant turbo laser that she just gets with like a pool stick. Like,
One little crank.
it was super fun. Seeing the Eopies show up delighted me. Everything just with the reveal of SM-33 repeating that, can't say I remember no that, and just repeating that, and that actually ends up being important, I thought was a really cool reveal. I have to say overall, despite this being directed by the Daniels, probably my least favorite yet of the 4 episodes. It kind of reminds me of when we all got really excited in The Mandalorian Season 3 for Bryce Dallas Howard to be coming back to direct an episode, and we all thought, oh, it's going to be like in the Book of Boba Fett, and she directed that banger of an episode there, and then we got to that Guns for Hire, Chapter 22, where it was Jack Black Lizzo episode, and we're like, what happened here?
It was a weird Law and Order episode.
Kinda, yeah. It's still a worthy episode in its own right, just not what we expected.
Yeah.
Here, I would have expected more from not the reigning best directors, because that's Nolan, but like 2 years ago they won Best Director for Everything Everywhere All at Once. So I don't know why you would assign them this episode. This almost feels like kind of I don't want to say filler episode, because I don't believe any episode is truly filler of these shows, but it does feel like it's kind of getting us from A to B.
Yeah.
But
I think that's why they probably gave it I don't think they trusted the Daniels. Because I love the Daniels, but I was watching this episode and I was like, I was thinking about the dialogue and the script, and I was like, there's not a lot to work with. I think the greatest shot they probably chose to do was the limb from limb scene where it's a moving camera on him. And I was like, this is a horror film, and I love this. We didn't get to see this at all throughout the rest of the episode. And I was like, I bet Star Wars was really scared about actually doing it. They just wanted to put the name, the Daniels, on it.
Well, they were brought in to direct this episode before Everything Everywhere All at Once came out in theaters. So they kind of rose to prominence as the show was like coming together. Very similar to like them bringing in Chloe Zhao to direct Eternals before she wins an Oscar, and then it's like, oh, she's directing this movie now.
That's such an interesting timeline.
Yeah.
Because you have to imagine Everything Everywhere All at Once really took the industry by storm. It was like there was an exciting trailer that I think, or the announcement had come out that movie would be coming out by the time Skeleton Crew got greenlit and Jude Law was cast. But we didn't really know what a sensation that movie
What
would
an
be.
impact it would have on culture.
Before that, they were really just like music video directors who did Turn Down for What, right? And then did they do the music video for Turn Down for What?
Yes, they did, and they had done 2 features, Swiss
Yeah.
Army Man and
Oh, it's Swiss Army Man.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
best known for that, probably.
Yeah.
But the fact that the Russos, who were running Agbo, were like, yes, you do this project. I feel like everyone was kind of interested in these guys and what they would do next. I don't want to be too hard on them. I don't think this was just like a script that they were
They're
given,
filling
and they did
in,
a pretty good job with it.
There's a story that's being told over multiple episodes, and they're just there to get us through this episode.
Yeah.
And some of it, like you said, right, people being interested in what they're going to do next, this opens the door for them to have future collaborations. And, during the press tour of Everything Everywhere All at Once, they had said that, we have been approached by a couple studios about doing certain things, and Disney being one of them, potentially show running Loki Season 2, I believe, was in the cards.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
so they were like, maybe not for us, but, opens the door to future collaborations at the very least, and you have a reference point.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see their next passion project because, obviously Everything Everywhere All at Once was a passion project for them, and I don't want them to go the same route as, Taika Waititi, who, just started to say yes to all these, big projects, and I think he's still, talented storyteller, but I don't think his heart is in all of these like Marvel, Star Wars things.
Right.
So I'm just excited to see what they do next.
Yeah.
For sure.
I still really love like just Jude Law interacting with SM-33 is like my favorite thing. He's so sincere with it. He's great. I love him like acting with the practical puppet. It's a lot of fun. I also like how this episode really focused. I mean, the whole show is from the kids' perspective, but I like that when they come to this camp, you know, with the Troiks, they're like, they want to follow around Hana. They don't want to follow around like the general, right? The adult. So it's like, it's very fun seeing that. And I did love that shot of them practicing shooting where the camera's downrange and the kind of like blaster bolts or whatever that gun was are flying past the camera. They almost look like magical little stardust. Like, it was a good shot. I really liked that. Was a lot of fun. Something you really liked this episode, Jess?
Yeah, I just like the ending with the limb from
The
limb.
scary
The
moment.
scary part.
It was
I was
great.
like, it was really fun. I think it was shot really fun, and I was like, yeah, I forget how much fear is induced in that camera shot that people don't really take a lot of advantage of.
Yeah.
And also, I loved Smee the entire time, and then I was like, damn, he's a crazy man.
Yeah.
He's a crazy robot.
And it wasn't just like kill whoever asked. It's like rip them apart.
Yeah,
Which is
rip
like
them
way more
apart.
visceral and like scary.
I was
I don't
like,
know.
You know, the captain was like, yeah, rip them apart. And he's like, okay. And he was like, I just meant kill them. I
Yeah.
didn't think you were going to actually physically rip these people apart.
Evan jumping in to say we want to thank one of our sponsors, Mando. You know, Zach isn't here to sing their praises, but I am. And as a proud Mando user, I gotta say, this stuff really works. Like, it really does. Mando is a whole body deodorant, and when we say whole body, we mean whole body. They asked us to start with a question that's a little not safe for work, but see if you can follow this metaphor instead. If your baseballs smell like foul balls, Mando has deodorant for you. And if you got a problem with that metaphor, take it up with Berg. Mando's whole body deodorant comes in 3 forms: invisible spray, solid stick, and invisible cream. It's clinically proven 72-hour odor control, so it's perfect for long days at the game or at the bar, or if you're like me, running around town and no time to take a break. You really do smell good all day because it stops odor before it starts, and it's safe to use on your entire body, pits, package, feet, and everywhere in between. Mando comes in 4 cologne quality scents: bourbon leather, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, and Clover Woods. I'm a solid stick bourbon leather on the pits kind of person myself, but you can choose whatever good smell you like to cover up your stinkiest area. Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code BREAKROOM at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. Support our show and let them know we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
Well, let's talk about this captain. Who was SM-33's captain, and could this captain still be alive? Is it someone we know, we've met already, or do you think it'll be like a new reveal?
I think it is going to be someone we meet. They talked about the supervisor a few times, and that's going to be some big reveal that happens in the next few episodes. I am a little concerned now that we have this whole man behind the curtain mystery box. I hope that whoever is revealed to be the supervisor, it's not a familiar face. I don't want it to be like Hondo Onaka. I don't want it to be like a familiar like pirate from lore. I'd rather it just be like someone new or just some kind of surprising form, some interesting species, some droid maybe. Could we have like a droid pirate operation that overtook these 2 human pirate skeletons that were on the ship, and these droids kind of just took control? That'd be kind of fun. There's like other ways you could do twists other than being like, but what if it's this Glub Shito from this one particular Darth Vader comic?
Yeah, you and Evan were kind of talking before the show about the idea that the supervisor and this captain are the same person.
Yeah.
Like the captain, the original captain of the Onyx Cinder was able to like get to At Acchran, hide it from everybody else, and has like taken over the planet and kept it whole for whatever reason he wants to. I mean, if his ultimate goal is to get treasure and it's on the planet, but he's still on the planet, what good is that treasure? I don't know.
The theory I talk about in the Easter egg breakdown is that the Onyx Cinder discovered At Acchran ages ago and was buried underneath like a lot of that. And they didn't know it was there, and that the supervisor got to At Acchran somewhere when like you had these 9 jewels of the Old Republic that were able to stay hidden and continuing to like fund whoever was jockeying for power in whatever age of war that the Republic was in. But they stayed hidden. This old pirate with his Onyx Cinder ship, with something that went down between those 2 other skeletons that they saw, and that SM-33 was his Smee. This pirate discovered At Ackhran and basically becomes someone similar to the Wizard of Oz, or Ben Linus in the Dharma Initiative in Lost, and basically overtook this community and it's like, this is very easy to topple. They don't have a military.
Right.
I get to say I'm this interesting con man who basically overtook and set up all these automations and just kept it going and benefits from it. And the reason why these other places were destroyed is At Ackhran, he mobilized these droids to go planet to planet to planet and took out the other 8 because he doesn't need them. And he plundered. That's what a pirate does. They plunder. And he plundered all of their wealth and left them in the state. And I theorize in the breakdown that the Hattons that the Troik are fighting is derived from At Ackhran, and that someone just kind of misheard and it got bastardized and the pronunciation just changed, and that the Hattons are just people who were left to patrol and just were a band of militants who stayed on At Ackhran to continue to suppress and to just take over whatever's left. But that At Ackhran is the only one of these 9 jewels that's still in its clean, illustrious, functional, suburban form. So I think At Ackhran is responsible maybe for those other planets being wiped out or just decimated.
Could someone have left the other planet and then gone to At Ackhran and just been like, oh, I'm gonna terraform this one, or not terraform, but like I'm gonna become the supervisor? I feel like they were staying really, and this could have just been for Neel's sake, but it felt like in this episode they really came back to like, this planet's horrible. You should not have to fight. And it's like, well, this is just what we do. And it's like, well, my planet doesn't do this. And I'm like, do you think it was someone that had to fight all the time that was like, I'm getting off this planet, and then went to At Ackhran and just like commandeered it?
Yeah, I'm trying to, my theories are all over the place. Everyone, I am asking you, every week my theories are going to change on this show because I'm enjoying the ride and I don't really know. But Neel's conversation with Hannah didn't feel coded in the way of like a kid from a wealthy suburb who's just telling a kid from a not wealthy part of the town, like, well, why don't you just, like, why are you joining gangs? And it's like the kid in the slum is like, I have to because you are white flighted out to these suburbs and take the city's tax resources to put into your... So it's your fault, kid. You have this privilege to say you can be a pacifist. I don't have that luxury. And it's basically you, or not you, but your ancestors, your forebears' fault that I have to fight. That's just how I interpreted it. I'm willing to admit I might be completely wrong.
Yeah.
There.
It did feel interesting, like this planet, like it's trying to be a bigger message of like, if At Ackhran is total peace and this is total war, is there like a weird middle ground that needs to exist? I also was wondering, like, I don't know if it's just because it's a show geared more toward kids, but it was like, their whole thing was like, we have Eopes, they steal Eopes, we steal them back, it's back and forth forever. It didn't sound like we need to wipe them out, like we needed to kill off the other tribe.
Yeah.
It's not sound like that's what they were saying. It was almost like their economy is struggle. Their economy is like this weird bartering conflict, like a Spartan-esque, only the fighting matters, right? We don't need to worry about other forms of society.
What if it's just a simulation? There's someone that's making them do this.
Maybe,
or not making them, but just like watching them and being like, this is how this planet works with like all the right resources. This is how this planet works.
There was like a weird line that was said where it's like each generation we get weaker or something like that. The adults keep saying that, and it's like, oh, that's like very dark and
for a kid to know.
To know that like, oh, the parents realize that this isn't working, but we're gonna keep winnowing down until there's nothing left.
Is it overanalyzing the show to say there might be some like Animal Farm parallels of just like the whole Marxist argument of like keep the people who should be uniting fighting over something as mere as Eopes?
Yeah.
Like really these warring groups should be banding together, the Hattons.
Right.
But I think the Hattons, who knows how the Hattons might be connected to anyone else, but I think the idea is like you have these like neighboring groups of people who are basically fighting over small things, and really there are the real enemies of people who are controlling the wealth of this region that they should unite against, and I think that's the whole argument. And I have Animal Farm on the brain because we learned that rat is named Snowball. And I'm like, you can't name something Snowball and something that seems to be addressing some economic themes and not have it connect to Animal Farm, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because I think something that really caught my attention was watching the show with the subtitles, and when Hannah refers to the old days, that was all capitalized. And like obviously we don't know like the this timeline of these planets and where they're going, but like part of me is thinking like, well, is this show also commenting on Star Wars fandom as a whole too? Like the old days is romanticizing of the past and what it used to be and how what was expected as opposed to the reality now where we are just in a different spot, I think that's this show. I like that this show is causing all these different types of conversations because it's been a big surprise for me, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, is it a commentary on like what makes a Star Wars project? You always have to have conflict. You always have to have like fighting. Can we have a Star Wars show where they just go about their days moisture farming?
Boring.
Exactly. People talk. That was like always like a play with The Walking Dead, right? Where it was like, why are they always just fighting zombies? It's like, well, because if they're not, they're just every day is just farming, and like farming. That's not always exciting. You want the exciting moments of something. I was reminded too the like kind of pastiche of like in 80s and early 90s movies that were kids focused, where like there would be a place where like the kids run the place and it's awesome. Like the old Ninja Turtle movie, you want to hang out with the Foot Clan. They're skateboarding, they're smoking cigars, they got video games.
That's
I think they like smoked in the 80s.
It's just a cigar is like a meal.
Yeah.
If you smoke, it's like it's not easy to smoke a cigar. You got to sit with it for a while.
But even like Pinocchio, right? The whole thing is like the kids go to Pleasure Island and they turn into jackasses, and it's great.
It's the first time I heard the word ass in a movie.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Pinocchio.
So this is like kind of that world, right? Where it's like, we let the kids act like adults. It's fine, but you're also gonna die probably, kid. Maybe you don't get to eat today, but
or put in a cage and sold to somebody.
And if some dude shows up and he makes a good bargain with the Opies, he can have you.
That's why, like, I'm dreading the comments on the breakdown because I'm like, as much as Jod is giving off good adopted dad energy, the fact that General Strix is like, looks at him and then Jod he's like, what do you want? You want some hides? You want some other stuff we got? And he's like, I'll take those kids.
I'll take those.
And he's like, sure. Like,
and he
ask
doesn't
some
know
follow-ups, please.
He doesn't know that guy knows those kids.
Right.
Until Neel hugs him and says Jod, and someone says Jod. I was like, he did not know that those kids knew that man.
It's a weird request to ask. And as an economic bartering exchange is give me the kids.
100%.
It's just a little weird.
Do you think Jod gave the credits to those people, or did something else happen? I think Jod still has the credits.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
Oh, you think he just killed them all?
I don't know if he killed them. I mean, there's still the big mystery of Jod, right? He is a guy who's able to like convince groups of people to let them be the leader, right? He's Crimson Jack to a bunch of people. He's Captain Silvo to a bunch of pirates. Like, I think he's very charming in that way. And I don't know what happened with the Hattons, right? Like, I don't think it was as simple as he gave them credits and they gave him the Opies. I think something else happened. Because what good are credits to them? These people don't leave the planet. I guess they trade with smugglers or merchants that come to the planet.
I think, and that's one of those things behind the curtain we still don't, because even that
something is up there.
Because there's also that joke of like, well, how good are the hides? And they're like, John, he's like, I'm joking. I'm like, was he?
Yeah.
I was like, was he? And I think that's like, eventually they're gonna reveal like, you still have the credits.
I think he still has the credits.
I wouldn't be surprised if he kept. Well, it also because SM-33 after his memory got override, we didn't know what happened in that fight. Yeah. We don't know if he used the Force. We don't know what Jod did.
I think when they leave At Acchran, he's going to say, kids, don't look out the window. Because they're going to like look down to see a huge...
Just a bunch of X's with hats tied to them.
Wim's like, where's my money? Where's my credit?
And one Eopie wearing a crown or something like that, smoking a cigar. Thanks, Jod. Now it's Eopie's turn.
Not to change the subject from the beautiful subject, from the beautiful the character you did for the animal.
We also want to thank one of our other sponsors today, True Classic, who makes comfortable, good-looking clothes more affordable than ever. And December is the perfect month to check them out. True Classic sells t-shirts, hoodies, and jeans that are perfect additions to any wardrobe. They're super soft and super comfortable and perfect for cozy winter layering. True Classic offers a ton of bundles and multi-pack options. If you find something you like, it's easy to double down and get your wardrobe that much more dialed in. The holidays are here, and True Classic's ultra comfortable, perfect fitting essentials make for the perfect gift for you and anyone in your life. So if you're ready to upgrade your closet, shop now and unlock big savings during their huge holiday sale. Just go to use our exclusive link at trueclassic.com/breakroom to save. That's trueclassic.com/breakroom. Support our show and let them know we sent you. End the year with some holiday cheer thanks to True Classic.
So going back, I just had a question.
Yeah.
So going back to the fact that so SM-33 was with a captain that made him get rid of the coordinates so no one would know, and if anyone found out about At Acchran, they ripped them apart, but that ship was in At Acchran. So
Yes.
did the captain crash the ship into At Acchran after doing that, and then was just like, leave SM-33 here, and that person is just on the planet wandering?
That's what we're thinking. We're wondering if this like supervisor character on At Acchran could be the captain.
But he
the
had to be,
captainship.
but he had to be like the first, right?
to get
because
there,
he had, or
yeah.
the first person, because he's literally the force grew over the.
Or maybe not the first person, but like they're a couple generations before the parents that we know, right? To establish whatever the parents that we've met on At Acchran sound like they were born on that planet and were born into the system, and they accept it fully.
And
so that to me means a couple generations of like taking over.
and we still don't believe that any of the parents know.
are in on it. I think they don't know.
I
what's
think
going
they're all
on.
brainwashed.
Well, that's a good point. There's been people in the chat. We've already talked about this a little bit about Wim's dad. You know,
He's
there's
definitely- he took
there's
his
something
glasses off.
going
He's
on.
thinking
You know,
about
but maybe if he is not directly connected, could it be generations? Could Wim's family
Yeah,
have come from outside
100%.
and they have been directly related to either the captain of the Onyx Cinder
Mm-hmm.
or the supervisor? You know, if it's the same person, if it's different.
What if
I
it's
also
Neel the whole
wanna-
time? Neel was the captain the
That'd
whole
be
time.
so funny. They override his memory and he starts, he's a sleeper agent. But I want to answer that, and I also want to keep in mind that when Neel saw because they saw the Fallen Sanctum, right, and was like, that's where my mom works on my
That was a
planet?
different building. That
Or
was
was
like
it a
the
different
big
building?
block.
What
Yeah,
was the
different
building
building.
that he pointed at and was like, my mom works
That
on
was like
It's like their admin building.
Yeah.
So if their like grounds are kind of the same, what would that building that's the Fallen Sanctum be for our planet?
The
for At
school.
Acchran? The school?
Oh no,
They
the
were
sanctum is the
sitting on
supervisor's
yeah.
tower.
Is the supervisor.
It's like
tower.
it looks like the Space Needle.
So when ours, and the super.
It looks like the sun dome.
I wanted to help you.
Did that help? Hold on.
It looks like the sun dome in Knoxville that's full of wigs.
I don't know that one, but I know this one. So the supervisor is in that Space Needle building on At Acchran.
Yes.
And no one knows the supervisor.
Right. No one has
Okay.
met with them.
So
I have to shout you out because Grammar Rodeo was the working title for this show.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
You
good.
got
Well
it.
done, Brandon. Well done.
Okay, I want to see a map of At Acchran and At Acchran on top of each other to
Yeah,
understand,
to
because I
compare.
feel like some of the parents work at buildings that are close to the supervisor building that would make it. I just feel one of those parents. I like the idea that it's a long line of Wim's parent, maybe, because they are literal
familial
like
thing.
followers.
Well,
like
there's-
Wim's dad is like, I will do anything.
I was thinking, we have the mystery of Wim's mother, who gave him, I think, gave him the story pad, would read him these bedtime stories. I want to know how that mom died. Did they both work for, like,
She was
in the
ripped apart.
supervisor's office? She was snooping through stuff she shouldn't snoop through, got caught, and then basically taken away. And Wendell's like, I won't say anything. Please don't kill my
I
kid.
think it has to be the mom because she's also the one that tells. Well, I don't know how important Kodor is to this movie or this series, but doesn't he mention? He's like, oh, the Tales of the Knights of the Old Republic. He
He
mentions
does
that.
say-
He
in
said
this-
Tales of the Knights.
Yeah.
Does he
Which-
mean Kodor, Knights of the Old Republic?
Could, he might.
Could.
Because
He
he's
might.
like, because they
He
were
gets
also
cut
in
off.
like a sleeper cell for like 100
Yeah.
years and then they woke up. But
God,
yeah,
I
she
hope
would know
Kodor
all
comes
the
in.
stories because she gave him that book, right?
We don't know if she just would read him
assume-
bedtime
Because
stories. We don't know if she gave it to
Considering
him.
that,
I
like,
think so.
Wendell kind of hates the stories, it would be weird that Wendell gave him a data pad full of stories, right? If he's like, stop reading that crap.
But they're like fairy tales to him. But maybe the mom
Right.
knows that they're real.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, you bring up a
That's
good
true.
point, though, Jessica, of the mapping of these planets, right? And that makes me wonder, what came first, the societies on these planets?
Yeah.
Or were these planets discovered and then turned into these societies that have these cookie... Because we have to assume, since these two planets are so similar in design, all the planets probably have the same design.
Yeah, they're the same design. They're the same
right?
design.
So did whoever created this find these planets and determine these 9 planets have the right resources? Or did they just find 9 planets and turn them into these planets?
That's why I
That are
that's why I
important.
do believe it's like Animal Farm.
Oh,
ass.
turn the planet. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like
so,
almost terraform them into what they are now.
yeah, you and I were talking before the show. Brent Stewart sent a super chat saying something similar, and Blake Taylor talking in the chat as well. Big experiment with each planet starting with the same parameters under a supervisor, like a
Yeah.
large-scale Truman Show.
Yeah.
And if the populace figures it out, the sats in orbit nuke the world.
Yeah, because this planet at Akron had the same
Satellite
haze in front of it, the
haze, yeah.
barrier. We saw the like red satellites. We've seen the red dots.
Someone's watching and studying. Has that not happened in any Star Wars? Not the movies, not the TV shows, but like even comics. That's never happened.
Is this like the Truman Show for Star Wars, where there's we are watching it?
Are you saying, are we like Kevin?
We've created it, yes.
I don't think you've ever seen like an artificial society to this extent.
Yeah.
Like we've seen like terraformation. You've seen like authoritarian government surveillance in places like Lothal and Coruscant, but you've seen like obviously a military presence, occupation of territories. I don't think you've ever seen like a social experiment.
Started from scratch.
The closest we've seen is that planet from Chapter 22 of The Mandalorian, the Lizzo Jack Black episode, where it felt like a very clean society that was burying this weird separatist plot to make droids run everything. That's why I think like there may be some connection to the Confederacy of Independent Systems in the show, just based on we haven't seen anything else like that in Star Wars.
This is like the most Star Trekky story
I feel like,
in a Star Wars
unfortunately, because of that, I feel like it has. I get it, but I feel like it has to be revealed as someone that has shown up in Star Wars before that we.
Guys, the supervisor is Jar Jar Binks. Get ready for it. It's gonna blow your minds.
Because it's so deep and everyone's so new. What is the one like? But that's just me. That's just me story.
I mean, I do.
I don't mind it because it's gonna be a new character for me. Sorry.
I think it's just. I think we're gonna find out that maybe these 9 worlds were connected. Like, think of them as an archipelago of like these colonies that are just like processing wealth and funneling it somewhere else, and that once you get to one of these islands, you can access the other 8 pretty easily. And that like once this captain crashed on At Acchran, he's like, oh, no one else can get to these other planets except me. I'm going to go planet by planet and just plunder them and destroy them and take their wealth and then bring it all back and make sure that only one of them is as wealthy as it was to begin with. But it's not the person who set up these societies. These societies would have had to have been set up. It just feels weird to have like what we see as suburban, because suburbs are relatively modern in human history. They didn't really start to spring up until post-war. So like at most any suburb in America is like 80 years old. So that's like new. That's a new development. To think of like a suburb could exist like before what we know of as the Galactic Civil War and the Clone Wars as part of the Old Republic just feels weird because we think of all of Star Wars as, quote, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So it's just odd to, like, my brain is having trouble
unless someone,
merging it.
I guess if someone just wanted to make, it's not hard to come up with the idea of like a suburb. It's like, oh, I'm just going to make a little circle with a lot of nice, happy people. Similar.
And an Outback Steakhouse. And a mall.
There's 2 Chili's.
2 Chili's.
On the east side and the west side. You can choose which one.
Because if you have one Chili's, you're going to have some fights.
You gotta choose which one you like the most.
Because there's too much drama in a suburb. You got to have different Chili's.
God,
2 different Chili's.
Yes. Oh my God.
Too many El Presidente margaritas and you get kicked out of one Chili's, so you gotta go.
So you gotta go to the other Chili's.
Right.
And if a Starbucks opens up, game over, baby.
Game over, dude. Game over. Evan, you had your hand. You were ready to say something.
So I wanted to also talk about, while we're talking about these planets and the supervisor, we saw this like Mr. No Head statue. And also,
what if he has no head?
He never had a head.
Whim, my guy.
He's just a headless horseman.
Just think about it before.
And we see a statue also in episode 1. We put them side by side here too. If you notice, the statues are making slightly different poses.
I don't. Oh, there it is. That was being
and a little hard for you guys to see right now, but the one on the one on the right, the one we saw at Acchran's like holding out his arm like this. The one on the left from episode 1 is like a little bit more solemn, but that one is looks like Neel's species.
Yes, which is a new species.
It's straight up Fallout. Each person gets a planet.
Yeah.
Because I would love that, but I mean, yes, it's Fallout-y. But I'm like, if each planet is run by a certain person, and this guy's planet just sucks, At Acchran just sucks. He's like, I failed. Oh my God.
We also have the mural too, so we can see the potential people that have gone into. But obviously, in this image of the mural, we can't see 9 different species of people or 9 even individual figures. But perhaps, a theory could be that each of them took a few planets for themselves, or each had to spearhead their own planet. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think, like, Okay, new, perhaps bullshit theory that just popped into my head. What if the reason why this show is making a big deal out of the character of Neel and not identifying what species he is and saying he is a new species for this show is that we're going to find out that that original captain was Neel's like great grandfather who had this specific like trunk, and he's not as cute. He is a bastard, like a jerk, and he landed. He was like a pirate king, and that statue that's in the At Acchran City Center is representing that ancestor. So Neel is gonna have to like deal with like this. Oh shit, I'm the bad guy. But then on the other planet, there was some other species, and they lobbed off the head of it because this other species was like, or Neel's great grandfather was like, I am going to destroy you. All of the other ones were like welcoming, had their hand outstretched, like. You know, in the Rings of Power, when you go to Numenor, the statue of Arendelle has his hand outstretched, whereas when you get to Middle Earth, the Argonaut statues are like, stay the F out. And like, I think there was some iconography that they might be doing on this show too, that on these other planets, they had, whoever was in charge of the supervisors of these planets were like these kind of Walt Disney, like, I want you all to come here and see my beautiful world, this happy, happy place. And there's one who's like, nope. I'm going to destroy.
That's the guy from Busch Gardens. He's like, stay out of my Busch Gardens.
We'll have beer at our place. It'll be kind of a weird zoo.
I've collected animals from around the world.
Is it just a Joe Exotic who was successful? Really? Is that what happened?
God damn it.
Sponsored
We'll
by the
also
Busch
do
Beer
a
Company.
Colonial Williamsburg-esque thing in some of our parks.
God, Busch Gardens is really
Busch
weird.
Gardens is so weird.
I mean, there was originally Busch Gardens here in Los Angeles. It closed down.
Yeah.
This is where it started.
But it thrives in Tampa.
It thrives in Tampa. It does.
Imagine anything.
Yeah.
Imagine anything you want in Tampa.
And lastly, today we want to thank our sponsor, Via, makers of premium federally legal cannabis products. This holiday season, unwind and recharge with Via. Whether you're enjoying a quiet evening at home or embracing the festive cheer, Via's premium THC and THC-free gummies will help you find your perfect holiday balance. I, for one, am looking forward to treating myself to an Elevate gummy and burrowing into a bowl of my favorite holiday food. All of Via's products are grown indoors and in state-of-the-art facilities and harvested at peak THCA levels to emphasize a natural aroma and flavor. They add strains to their selection every week, so there's always something new to check out. Via has THC and THC-free gummies, vapes, topicals, and drops, all of which are crafted with the highest quality hemp sourced from trusted, independently owned American farms. Plus, Via legally ships to nearly all states in the US in discreet packaging directly to your door with a worry-free guarantee, no medical card required. This holiday season, gift yourself some peace of mind. If you're 21 and over, check out the link to Via in our description. For a limited time during the holidays, Via is offering 25% off site-wide, plus up to 50% off select items and bundle. If you're hearing this ad post-sale, you can still save by using code BREAKROOM for 25% off. After you purchase, they ask you where you heard about them. Let them know we sent you. Support our show this holiday season and enhance your everyday with Via.
Who do we think like destroyed the planet? Or do we think all the other? We have to assume the other old jewels are destroyed, right?
I think, yeah.
If we see At Acchran destroyed, most of the other ones
Yeah, I
must be
assume.
destroyed, right?
But the way they were destroyed is interesting, because when Kim talked about our last episode, I was like, wait, was there some Death Star that existed long
Yeah.
before the Death Star we know of? Or just like a Star Destroyer that could just firebomb these planets? It really looked like a type of destruction that happened from invaders. Like they just bombed some city structures, but left them mostly intact that a future group could use it as their hideout. So it doesn't feel like an actual planet-wide destruction. They just burned. It was like what we see that port town when we're writing Pirates of the Caribbean. It's like a bunch of pirates came through and just like plundered it and burned a lot of
But
stuff.
there still had to be a lot of pirates, right? That
And
was
they-
a lot of pillage.
And it's like these people don't leave for whatever reason, whether it's like they feel like this is their home and they want to stay, but the situation seems bad. They meet these merchants who come in and out that they trade with. They must know it's better out there. Also, it's interesting that merchants have found this planet, but they've not found At Acchran.
I will say two things. One, I didn't see a lot of ships. Did you see ships on that?
Well, it was more that General Strix
Strix.
Yeah.
said that like, oh, we trade with the occasion. We don't like off-worlders.
Yeah.
We trade with like the occasional merchant. or
But
whatever.
and also Hannah made it feel like it's still their planet.
Yeah.
Like they're like, this is still my home. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to do better by my home. I'm not gonna just leave my
Yeah.
home. I'm gonna try and make it a better place.
I do like this idea that like Neel's species is involved somehow because
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. I do think that the old captain is dead, and that it's revealed to be. we'll go up in the supervisor's tower and it'll be another skeleton, right? And like whatever protocol he put, and these droids have just kept operating on whatever protocol.
That's a cool idea.
Because that's an important thing, right? Fern remembering, we saw in episode 1 how she out-logics her own nanny droid. She recalls that, and that's how she out-logics SM-33 here. But I do think that like the supervisor is dead, and it's just whatever protocol was in place before they died has like left the situation that they're in.
I love the idea if that chair turns around and it's a skeleton and the droids have just been on autopilot.
A bone for a trunk or whatever.
Oh, very cool.
I mean, the trunk's probably a muscle. Probably doesn't.
I feel like the structure, you'll probably see like, oh, it's clearly Neel people.
Yeah.
Neel people.
And no one seems to respond to Neel like, I've never seen one of yous before. Like, everyone's just pretty chill. But maybe in Star Wars universe, you just have to, you're gonna run into alien you never saw before all the time. You can't be weird about it. You gotta be cool about it.
Only the kids, because they're kids.
Yeah, only the kids can be like, wowza! 1,000 worlds? Stars?
Regular chatter Shri with a thought here. What's a slightly different shift on the kind of theory? How involved do you think the old captain was with the creation of At Acchran? Do you think that the captain of the Onyx Cinder, be it a same person or different person, is part of the reason At Acchran is still thriving? Or is it someone who just, they
just stumbled on it?
And then died.
I mean, Jod knows of this, like, treasure story. He, stars in his eyes when he thought he was looking at Acton. And it's a weird thing that, like, the pirates all know about it, but no one else knows about it, right? I guess we've only met pirates and Kim outside of the people we met this episode. But it's like this weird tale, this kind of legendary planet. It is El Dorado, right?
Yeah, I think in their mind it's just like a big city of gold. I think he would be surprised to see like a functioning suburb with cars on tracks and a Mel's drive-in.
Yeah. Who was he yelling at SM-33? Did he keep saying? Was he the one that kept saying like treasure? Treasure, like where's the treasure? What was that? Who was they talking to? Do you remember?
That's when they were deboarding the Onyx Cinder. Yeah, he's like, I want to find some treasure. It's weird that Jod assumes that this smoky planet has treasure too. He's just like, oh, this one kind of looks like At Acchran. I bet it's got some gold somewhere.
Yeah.
He's just like a bottom feeder. He's just going to any planet being like, hey, I'm sure I can find something. I'll find a little bit of credits everywhere.
I also wonder if these 9 planets are close to each other. It's you need these planets are all far apart. And even in our solar system, folks, they're far apart. But are they on like different sides of the galaxy? Are they in a similar galaxy?
Yeah.
And they show resources that way, or are they spread out around like the universe?
They have the same green nebular cloud that surrounds them. What are the chances that like all of these planets have like their own little nebular cloud that hides them? I think it's more likely that there's a giant nebula that just kind of cloaks all of them or most of them.
I was thinking the satellites made the cloud.
Oh, that it's artificial?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. This is weird.
So many questions.
Speaking of, should we take some non sequitur chat questions that are a little bit harder for me to fit in?
Please.
All right. So we got some super chats here. Andrew McKee saying, will the show blow our minds and reveal Neel to be a Sith acolyte, given his first appearance was pretending to be a Sith Lord?
Like they're gonna.
When he was doing the beginning,
Yeah.
I was like, when did he pretend to be a Sith Lord?
It took me a second to remember too.
He embraces women at the end, and then we see a red blade shoot out the back, Ben Solo style.
Sith Lord, no, but I think Neel's if he does have some ancestor who is responsible for some of the past on At Acchran, maybe we find out that ancestor's guts were spilled everywhere. So when he's like, oh, my guts are going everywhere, that maybe that is how that one died. Is someone cut open his belly and he's
I think the show will end with Neel no longer aspiring to be an analyst, but aspiring to be like an explorer.
A cop. Oh,
a
no.
cop.
Sorry.
Put your teeth on the curb, Fern.
Oh no!
You were speeding. I saw you. No, I think it will change his perspective of how he sees things, and he'll want to go exploring and be an adventurer. And Wim will stay behind and be an analyst.
Oh.
And be terrible at it.
Terrible. No. In that vein, Captain Cannabis positing a dark theory. What if the Jedi stories are set up so all the losers in the community get bullied? So when the Sith need students full of anger, they have a whole planet worth of them.
I love that their strategy is like bullying works. Like they're that stupid. They're like,
They're like, we
gotta
need
bully.
some kids to get bullied in order to get more.
Isn't
That's
that
what
kind of
Ferns
the
just-
policy of the Caros and Deathly Hallows? Like, bully the first years. Use Crucio
yeah.
on them. Neville, you don't want to use Crucio on them? Fine, we're going to kill you, Neville. And then he has to go to the room of requirement to hide. Like, that just seems like Rowling didn't really think about like how actually these societies would indoctrinate kids. They would try to tell the kids that they're the good guys and they're the ones being oppressed. They wouldn't be like, be the bully, be the bully. They would be like, you're being bullied and here's how you fight back. That's how it really
I mean,
happens.
the Troiks are doing it quite well. They're convincing their children to go out and first and be fodder for the Hattons.
I thought it was a joke at first. I thought it was gonna be like oh, we're just kidding, and he just kept letting them walk. I was like,
And then when his daughter wanted to go, he's like, no, come on, okay, you can go.
I don't want to disappoint everyone. I don't want the Jedi or the Sith to actually be part of this show.
Yeah, no, 100.
Like, I think it's really cool the way they're doing it, that it's folklore to these kids. But if like an actual lightsaber shows up, an actual Jedi or Sith show up, a part of me's gonna die.
You don't think we're gonna get a flashback where we see Grogu handed off from Ahmad Best to Jude Law, a young Jude Law, and he helped Grogu get to the next part?
I think the one sighting of that I'd be okay with is if we get another Order 66 flashback with Jod. I think it's possible because like
Jod walks in right after Anakin killed all those younglings. He's like, hey, I got the blue. What happened in here?
yeah, I don't want
He's
like a
like,
present
I'm outta
day.
here.
I don't want a present day lightsaber to show up. Like if it would flashback to his origins at the temple on the night of the purge, I'm okay with that. But that's as much as even that's going to be like again. We're going back to this night. Like how many other survivors were there? The whole power of the purge is that everyone died. And they keep coming up with all these loose ends of people who got out. And it's
I mean, and I think that's like such a easy way to do that, right? It's like, how could you carry out a intergalactic, massacre, right? Without a few escaping somewhere.
Yeah, I'd be okay with people escaping elsewhere who were not at the temple. But the whole point of like Anakin Skywalker leading the 501st Clone Trooper Battalion is that it was a true massacre. And if that many got out, it's like they're basically in the center of the galactic capital. Like they wouldn't be able to get far. But I'm okay with some of them. But it's just like we learned Grogu got out. We learned Reva got out, and a bunch of other kids we think got out, and eventually got caught. The idea is like if they got out, cool, but Inquisitors should have found them in the next few years.
Right. Yeah.
So Grogu, I'm okay
system.
with getting out. Anyone else, it's gonna be like, jeez.
Vagabond of Light saying in super chat saying, I can't wait to see the anti-aircraft pew-pew on top of the school come back on At Acchran if the planets are mirrors. Big foreshadowing, I think. Yeah, it was kind of weird
Is there
that
a gun in there?
they showed the big cannon and then they didn't do anything with it this episode, but you gotta imagine that
They
It's
showed how to
best.
turn it on. You just gotta
Yeah.
crank that little switch on top of the roof.
What are they gonna do? Just shoot it at the sky and kill all those the drones? Up
Yeah,
there?
or I mean, they get back to At Acchran, the pirates follow them there,
Yeah.
they gotta fire the
yeah.
I mean,
pirates.
yeah, we have to imagine that the wolf captain's gonna show back up again, right? He's
That's
gonna
Brutus.
find them. Brutus. He's gonna find them somehow.
Get the hanger stick!
He'll have Kim in a cage, right? He'll be like, where is he? Like Tinkerbell style. That's totally gonna
Tinkerbell
happen.
style.
Yeah.
I do hope they open the dome and the gun is gone.
That's
they're like,
funny.
They're like, don't worry, we got this, and they turn it, and it's just like a billboard
Ooh,
for
that'll
something.
Or it's like a pacifist thing and it's just a confetti cannon
Yeah.
or something.
Oh yeah,
It shoots
backfires.
whipped
it
cream
just doesn't work.
everywhere.
Oh.
Just a bunch of wigs spill out.
Full of wigs.
Andrew McKee said in
Quick,
super
put 'em
chat to say, agree on
Andy
not wanting.
Williams.
Andrew McKee said in the theory about Neel being a Sith acolyte also said, agree on not wanting an actual Sith or Jedi turning up in the show.
He'll be an acolyte to Darth Jar Jar, who's
There
been
we go.
sitting in the supervisor tower. Join me, you will.
You smell like Eopes. Piusa.
Peace. On the last question here, I think, Brandon, you and I were talking about this before the show started, but Shri was asking, what do you think of the character arcs and how much Fern and Wim have grown? How did you guys feel about that scene where Fern's having a little cry? Bluey reference, shout out.
She didn't learn anything. She just cried. Literally, as soon as Wim tried to be nice to her, she was like, "Shut up, stupid!" And then was
then
like,
she's
"Wait
like,
a minute,
wait.
I am right."
Wait a minute. Droids do everything you tell them to do. I think that was my least favorite part of the episode. It's just literally like, wait, droids follow commands? This is a droid, and it follows ipsum lorem, you must. What's the thing in like syllogies where it's like, if this is a droid, it must follow my commands. It's like, it just felt like such a contrived conversation.
It's child logic though. Like it is. I will say it's child writing.
Yeah, but a child didn't write this episode.
I said it's child writing.
An adult wrote this episode.
I will say, if this was a movie, right? I think, and you watched it all back to back to back, you would feel like this was the right moment. That it's been maybe 2 or 3 days. In Earth, I don't know how days are tracked in Star Wars, but
72 hours.
72 hours. Earth hours.
Earth hours.
Gregorian hours have passed, and it would be at this moment that Fern has been pushed to her limits. She's a fake it till you make it kind of person. Like she always acts tough. Is a badass, but like won't stand up to her own mother. Like. Sneaks around, all that kind of, it's performative badassery, right? And at this point, she didn't want to, none of them wanted to be in space other than Wim. And at this point, she really feels like, I don't know what to do. And now we're in a situation where we're going to get killed. And I've claimed this captainship, but I've done a bad job and you should have been captain. Like, I buy all that. I think it's tough because, we haven't seen an episode for a week and then you hop in and you're like, you have to catch back up to where these kids are emotionally. And it hasn't been a week for them. It's been a couple of days. So I think it makes sense. The droid logic, I'll buy it. It's fine. This is a world where everyone's so used to living with droids that they probably don't think about the rules of droids. Yeah. They anthropomorphize droids to a point where they just treat them as other sentient beings who could use subterfuge and stuff. They forget that there are rules you can set with these droids and you can really mess around with them. Also, Jod's so smart for just turning off droids constantly. Han did it to 3PO all the time. It's smart.
Do we think the rat is pulling the strings? There's just
the Ratatouille.
It's the dumbest theory that I think I presented for the show.
Its brain's too small, right?
Right. When
smart.
he starts to tell Jod, he's like, I think I remember.
Yeah.
Like, you see his strings being pulled a little bit, and then he goes, never mind, I can't remember no hat. And I think the droid is like, or no, the little mouse is like, go away. And then he goes back in the head. And that has been a pretty resilient rat, and it's just Disney has done this before with the Endgame rat. They love the idea that the mouse is the most powerful one in charge in this house. That's like kind of the secret theme of all Disney properties.
I thought you were going to say the rat was the captain.
I think the rat is the captain. I think in the last episode, he'll put on a little hat, and he'll pull out his little blaster, and he'll be like, Neel, you're the only one who fed me. Kill your friend.
Yeah, I think that's such a fun theory, though, Erik, because, the most out there version of it is that he got polymorphed somehow, right? That the captain was transformed into a rat. The most fantastical version of it. But there is a version.
Mixing these franchises.
No,
Let's do it.
I'll do it. But there is a version where the rat could have been the pirate. It could have been the pirate's parrot, like the companion of the captain that is going to see out its master's orders until its last day. But how
the rat getting out of this deal?
And the rat is having there's generations of rats that it's teaching them. Keep pulling the
Rats
wires
aren't
on the
stupid.
droid.
But the rat was stuck inside the Onyx Cinder that was buried underground for so long.
Hey, we don't know how many rats are there.
We don't know how many rats. We don't know
There could be
which
little
rat this
tunnels
is.
that go back to the
that's
supervisor's
true.
tower.
That's ridiculous.
Little adorable rat tunnels.
At the end, they pull a switch and all the supervisor droids' heads open and there's tiny rats inside driving the droids. The droids don't work. It's all just rats. They open up the side of the buses and it's just rats on little wheels moving. The whole society's built on rats.
You guys are making jokes, but I feel
I
like
like
that rat.
this now.
Yeah.
Not yours, but I think
Fern's mama and Zips and it's just a bunch of rats in a human
rats in a
suit.
suit.
And it will end with this monologue from Jude Law who says, not everyone can analyze, but a good analyst can come from anywhere.
And then Wendell pulls out a picture of Wim's mom, and it's just a rat in a wig. He's like,
No one ever just
you never
noticed
knew
the
your mom.
rats."
She was so tiny, so beautiful,
Oh my god.
so small, so petite. She nursed you on her tiny little rat nipples. Wim, you sucked her dry, you bastard. You wanted so much. You were so hungry, Wim. You was a hungry little boy. Your mother couldn't make that much milk. She was a tiny little rat, Wim. Tiny little rat.
Cameron Stewart in the YouTube chat saying rat atin. I think we gotta run with this one. I think we gotta run with this theory. All season.
It's all rats, baby. It's rats all the way down. And then Kim shows up and she's like, tasty rats.
Oh yeah, Kim's gonna show up and just start eating them all.
Yeah.
That'd be
and
crazy.
then coughing up their bones in a fur ball.
Oh my
I
god.
love this show. It's perfect.
Should we decide who walks the plank?
Yeah, let's decide who walks the plank, folks. As we do every episode, we usually pick our favorite characters, but on this show, we like to decide who gets to walk the plank. Which scallywag do you think deserves to be thrown overboard? And if your answer is not General Strix, you're wrong.
Yeah, that
guy.
Joseph Kony needs to walk off the deep end of the plank. Like, he is using child soldiers, and I understand Ahsoka Tano is used the same way. I also don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't like it when kids are mobilized to war. It's terrible. And he just like puts these kids on the front line. He's like, you go scout. He's literally just like, this could be a minefield. It could be a sniper den. You don't know
They
what
were
he's
walking
sending
to
them
a
to.
kill box. It was foggy. Who knows? Also, he's banging that stick everywhere. It's like my guy in my head. It's too loud. Quit banging the stick.
Everyone is already so accustomed to it that when the new kids show up, they're like, "Oh my god!"
He does it to stir up all the rats that are in the tunnels to scare them away. Dun, dun.
We gotta keep
I'm making sure the rats are.
You hope he ate the rats because they might run up their trunk. You know?
What are you doing? Checking for the rats.
Check for rats. Who would you throw? Who would you make?
Yeah, I think I would also choose the general, other than like those two kids that are starving.
You're gonna make them walk the plank?
They took Neel's food.
They're not contributing to this Spartan society.
Neel's
It's a ration line. Just get in line, kids. Why are you sitting?
Why
Why
are
are
they
you
sitting? That's
sitting
crazy.
Bring the food to me.
Yeah, do you think Neel walks away and they're like, I can't believe this chump just gave us extra rations. I'm full. That's why I was sitting.
I mean, I think
So full.
That's so funny. The kid's sitting there going, no thank you.
It's like, I hate this post-COVID restaurant where you have to order from the counter.
A QR
What happened
code?
to us? A
Get me
QR
a menu.
Give me a menu.
I mean, I will say, I'm not sitting on any more sidewalks to eat. Put me inside and give me full service, okay?
Who's putting you on the sidewalk?
They still are doing that BS.
Don't go to San Francisco. Every restaurant's like, we have 80 more tables, and they're all outside as cars are zipping past you on
it's called al fresco.
Yeah, people are walking
not
around with
a
their
fan.
shopping bags, like touching your food. No, get out of here.
Oh my god.
Put me inside.
You go to Mexico Cena in Burbank, it's like they just quadrupled the amount of people they could serve. My favorite restaurant in Burbank. Damn it, I shouldn't have told people. It's the
Now
best
everybody's
Mexican
gonna
food in
go.
the
People are
valley.
gonna be waiting there now.
Best Mexican
I was going to
breakfast in the valley.
Guisados, but now I'm going to go
Guisados.
there.
No!
popular.
Go to Corner Cottage.
No.
Keep going to Corner Cottage.
I love Corner Cottage. You guys ruined Corner Cottage.
Hey, I like salsa and beer number 4.
Oh, salsa and beer is great.
Number 4 is a good one.
I'll take it
Yeah,
anytime.
salsa and beer is also
Corner
very
Cottage.
good.
There's a line every time now. I have to wait so long for my breakfast burritos.
Bring cash.
This is
Bring
the
cash.
Star Wars content people tuned in for. Evan, who would you make walk the plank?
Oh, I think the kid who announces all their names when they enter the droid hideout. That kid is so funny, though. I mean, I just want to shout that kid out.
They gave us their names.
KB.
KB.
Wham.
In Wham.
He says something at the end of it too, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's so
Their
funny. to me.
useless lives or something like
Yeah.
that.
He's like the little toady of the Scott Farkus. He's like, and me, I'm gonna tell my dad. Like that little jerk. No one cares what you have to say, kid. Why are you telling all their names?
He also knew the general was gonna be nice. He just wanted to freak him out a little bit.
Yeah,
It's so weird that they were like all of the adults sitting at the table letting this child introduce a bunch of children older than him. I was like, this is
they're like,
weird.
don't worry, he's gonna get shot in the head soon.
Don't worry, we're taking him out.
Well, that's it for us today. Make sure to subscribe to the Breakroom channel right here on YouTube and give us a follow on Twitch where we do videos like this live. And if you're not subscribed to our Breakroom channel, please do it. We're so close to 100K. We'd love to get there. Be sure to follow Breakroom on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads, and Blue Sky. We'll catch you next time. Laters, gators. Goodbye.
See ya.
Bye.
Limb from limb.
Limb from limb.
Limb from limb.